Amanda, and I'm here today with a bargain haul. Well, not that much of a bargain considering how much I spent, but anyway. So I found out through Twitter that Blackwell's on Charing Cross Road was having a relocation sale and they had to sell all of their stock, which meant that everything was 50% off. So obviously I couldn't resist that. So I headed down and got quite a few books. I tried to restrict myself to classics and ones that I knew I definitely wanted to read, because if I just went and was buying books on a whim, then that would have been very dangerous. So let's get started. First one I bought was The Body in the Library by Agatha Christie. I absolutely love Agatha Christie, as do all my family, so I'm sure I'll love this one. This is the first Miss Marple novel that I've read. The rest have all been Poirot or the standalone mysteries, so I'm looking forward to trying out Miss Marple. The second book I got was Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. I've heard nothing but good things about this on BookTube. I really enjoy magical realism, so that's why I picked this one up. Then got this absolute monster of a book that is Perdido Street Station by China Miéville. This is an urban fantasy. I've read one of his books before, The City in the City, which is more of a crime fantasy crossover, so I'm hoping that I will enjoy really getting in depth with a big fantasy world. And then got a couple of Oxford World classics. This one, The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. This is a bit of a mystery. I have tried to read this one before many years ago and didn't get into it, but it does sound like something I'd enjoy, so I thought I'd pick it up anyway, and I'm sure I'll get around to it eventually. I then got The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. This is a ghost story. It's very slim, and I will look forward to reading that in autumn or winter, because I think that's the best time for ghost stories. I then picked up Jamaica Inn by Daphne du Maurier, because I read Rebecca last month and I absolutely adored it, so I knew I wanted to read some more of du Maurier's work. And yeah, I know that there's just been a TV adaptation of this, so I'll probably read it and then check that out. And then I picked up East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I wanted to get this in this nice cover, which sort of matches my Grapes of Wrath that I recently bought. I know that many people on BookTube consider this one of their favourites. I think the first person I had talking about it was Mercy from Mercy's Bookish Musings, and the way she talked about it just made it sound fantastic. It might be a while before I get onto it, but I'm sure I will read it eventually. Okay, and then I got some Penguin Modern Classics. I picked up Remember of the Wedding by Carson McCullers. This is set in the Deep South, which I've said many, many times before that I really enjoy stories set there. I believe this was written in the 40s, so I can add this to my collection of American classics that I want to read. Then picked up another Shirley Jackson novel, another slim one like all her others. This is The Sundial, which I believe is less famous than some of her others. The description on the back sounds really interesting though, and I love this quote. Shirley Jackson blends sinister family politics and apocalyptic terror in a masterpiece of the macabre, which sounds really good. So, I then picked up Near to the Wild Heart by Clarice Lispector, who is a Brazilian author, so this was translated from the Portuguese. I've heard it's incredibly beautifully written and a very intelligent novel, so yeah, I don't know much about the story, but I had wanted to pick up some Clarice Lispector for a while, so I want to read this one really soon actually. Another BookTube buy, I picked up The Magician by W. Somerset Maugham. I can't remember who I heard talking about this, but I remember thinking it sounded incredibly good. I've never read any Maugham before, so it's a vintage edition as well. I then got Murders in Rue Morgue by Edgar Allan Poe, another vintage edition. Again, this is one of the earliest detective stories, and I love mysteries, so I'm looking forward to read this. I've never read any Poe before, and yeah, it's another slim one, and another one that I think is probably quite fitting to autumn more than summer. Okay, And just for completion, before I found out about that sale, I'd actually bought a couple of books off Amazon. So I got God's Dog by Diego Morani. I don't really like this cover, it's a bit too shiny, and I don't like this font, but the premise of the book sounds really, really interesting. So it's a detective novel set in an Italy which has become a theocratic state ruled by the Vatican, and the detective in question is also a monk, and he's a member of the, is he? A Vatican secret agent, and they're dedicated to rooting out non-believers and heretics. So I think that sounds quite an interesting premise. I'm always on the lookout for mystery novels that are a bit different to the usual. So yeah, it's again a short one. It is only, where are we? 145 pages long. So, and finally I got a Land Without Jasmine by Wardi Al Adal. I've probably butchered that. And this is a Yemeni detective novel. It's very, very slim, less than 100 pages, and it tells the story of Jasmine, who has gone missing, and I believe it's told from multiple different perspectives. So that sounds really interesting. I've not read much Arabic fiction in translation, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. So based on that, 14 books there, and then over May and June I bought 21, I think it was. That's a lot of unread books, not to mention the absolute stacks I've amassed over previous years. I now have enough owned unread books to last me at least a year, which is a bit ridiculous. So I've decided I'm going to go on a bit of a book buying ban. I want to read 12 books from my shelves before buying any more. So that should make a bit of a dent in my collection, and also that should take me about 3 months based on my current reading rate. So that will protect my bank balance a little bit. To make it a bit more interesting, make sure I'm not picking up the same types of novels, especially small ones, just to get through it, I've decided on a few targets I want to meet. So I want to read 3 books that I bought before 2014 to get some of the old ones off the shelves that I'm sure you're all familiar with. You buy them and then leave them for a while, and then shiny new books distract you and you never get around to them. So I want to get at least 3 of those off my shelves. I want to read 3 books that are more than 500 pages, and I want to read one book of poetry, 1 novel in translation, and 1 classic. So yeah, that's what I'm aiming for. I will keep you updated on how I'm going with that, and if I buy any more books, then you all need to yell at me. Oh, apart from, I've decided on one exception to this. I'm going on holiday in September, and I've realised I probably won't have any crime novels for it, and that's just unacceptable for me to go on a beach holiday and not have any crime novels. So I'm going to allow myself to buy 2 crime novels in September before I go on holiday. I think I already know which ones I want, but we'll see. That might change. Anyway, thanks for listening. If you've read any of those, I'd love to hear. And also, if you're on a book buying ban and we can support each other, then that would be great as well. Okay, bye.